Good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Back from the long weekend. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching live, we'll let the coffee crew roll in. I have my coffee, and if you're watching on the replay, thanks for watching the replay. Like the stream, all that good YouTube stuff. It's great to have you here. If you want to catch us live, though, 8 o'clock a.m., and that's what time it is right now. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Back again, and it's coffee is hot. Let's let people roll in. I'm going to remove that pinned comment. Thanks for liking the stream, everybody. I really appreciate it. It helps gets the stream out, gets it out to new people, and the more the merrier, I think, as we kick off the short week. It's a short week, but it always ends up feeling longer. I don't know. By the end of the week, you're ready, I think. I don't know. Let me know, but I'm always ready by Friday. It's like, this has been a long week. And we'll see who is here. And Nadia. Nadia's first. Good morning. You were first. So let's see. I saw your comment come in, and I saw that you want to come in first for the air horn. And let's see if it works. Let me know. We had issues yesterday, but we'll see. Nadia, this is for you. There we go. Hopefully it works. I can't hear it. I can't hear it, unfortunately. I don't know why the system doesn't let me hear it, but hopefully you did. If not, I'll figure this thing out eventually. And Paul is here. Good morning. Good morning, Paul. It's good to have you here. And the regulars are all rolling in. Stan, good morning. Good to have you here. Happy Tuesday. Long weekend recovery. And Abigail Bailey. Usually catch. Okay, well, that's okay if you catch the live stream. Abigail, it's always nice to have you here. If you're able to pop in, I know it's no perfect time for live streams. We talked about it before. It's hard sometimes for people. They're at work or just don't have time to join the live. But it's always appreciated tuning in. Awesome. And Robert's here. Rob, let's get fat and rich with crypto. Well, I don't know about that today. It doesn't seem like we're getting fat and rich with anything today. Kind of a bit of a red day if we took a quick look at the market this morning. But that's okay. For me, I can kind of go on and because obviously it's the start of the week. Well, start of the week with the market being open, obviously closed yesterday. So I did my weekly dollar cost average like usual. So slow and steady wins the race. I purchased one share, got PSA, adding some cash into the portfolio. Nothing wrong with that. And I added one share of VDY. That's the Canadian High Dividend ETF. And then the remaining of that $100 went to a fractional purchase of VFV. So the usual. That's my weekly purchase, and sticking to it. That's the goal for the year, to kind of build those positions up a little bit. And that's what I'm doing. So not getting. Doesn't seem like we're going to get rich today, but we'll see how things pan out. Everything can kind of change. I have a few articles that we'll talk about today. Canadian, obviously, inflation, CPI numbers are out for last month, so we can talk about those a little bit. And then we will, obviously, if you have anything you want to bring up, comments, questions, fire them in the comment section. That's what we're here for. And we will do that as we go. And it worked. Awesome. Glad to hear. Glad to hear. Awesome. And Vic, welcome back. Down today. It's okay. It's just today. That's okay. We're long term here, but good to have you. Good to have you here on the thing. Good call, Nadia. Speaking of crypto, I get at least one scam message a day on my Instagram. People trying to get me to buy crypto. Yeah, it can be a scam. People try and scam for a lot of things. I get a lot on my Twitter. I think you can adjust your settings a little bit to not receive messages from people that you aren't following. That would be one maybe thing to look at. I know on my Instagram it puts DMs in a separate kind of inbox I have to go check if I actually want to see it. It doesn't notify me or anything like that. Same with Twitter. Same kind of idea. It will block out some of that spam, but there's a lot out there. Crypto's a big one, but anything. It's the whole WhatsApp thing. I think there must be something going around right now in particular because my channel, Nadia, got hit with those WhatsApp comments. People were replying to comments. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but what I noticed that my videos, I've done a couple of videos on, kind of spam, YouTube comments, WhatsApp comments, that kind of stuff. Those videos in the last few days the views have really gone up on them. So there must be some people obviously searching for them. So it must be a new big rash of spam crap going around, unfortunately. So be careful. If you haven't seen those videos and you're not sure what we're even talking about, you can check them out on the channel. It's I shared it on my community tab. Just be careful. Don't, if you're getting DMs from people that you don't know. The hard part is, like Nadia says, it can be. It's the hard part. This is what's hard is it's duplicates that are kind of impersonating other people. So be careful. Obviously, I won't ask you for crypto by any means, but just watch who you're messaging back and forth, and don't send anybody any money on the internet. If you think it's someone that's actually asking you for money or something, and if it's a friend, pick up the phone and call them. I guess would be the best way to kind of say that. But it is very annoying, that's for sure. And Vic bought today. Good call. Adding on to Shopify, but it's down now. I thought you said you bought it when it was down, but that's okay. Again, long term, I think you'll probably hopefully do okay. Train, obviously. Good morning. Good to have you here. And yes, CPI is down, Vic. I'm going to pull those up in the articles in just a minute. Excellent. Yeah, that's the problem. They blowing up. I think it's these spammers just hit comments. It's crazy. It comes in waves. It's kind of a pain it's really a pain, because you'll get a video, and then all of a sudden you have 14 comments to delete. And the hard part with it is, if it's a regular comment that someone's commenting on the video, I can grab it and see it and I get notified. But the problem is, if someone's replying to someone else's comment, I don't see those. I don't get notified of those. So that's the unfortunate thing with these scams. So just be careful. And again, if you see something on my channel or anybody's channel that looks like a scam, flag it, or reach out to the channel owner, creator of the channel, and ask them to just mention it to them so they can go and look and delete them and block that person. It's such a pain. Badge of, I prefer not to. I would really prefer not to have that badge of honor, but it's unfortunate. I think especially maybe in the it's obviously the topics we talk about, right, are attractive. It's investing, it's money, it's people, that's where they're coming after it. My other channel doesn't really get any type of spam, but every channel will get hit eventually. It's just a matter of time, unfortunately. So just be careful, as we say, just be careful. All right, let's pull up, as we talked about CPI, let's pull this up. I'm going to share my screen. If I can. There we go. Yeah. CPI. So it's down, right? It's coming down. Eases to 5.9%. In January, it's down from, I think it was 6.3%. So coming down a little bit, but stuff is still expensive out there. I have another article in regards to groceries. Stuff is still expensive. Gas has been fairly steady for a little bit, but at least where I am. But food prices definitely remain high. What is it saying here? Food prices, which include both groceries and food from restaurants, increased 10.4% year over year. A slight increase from December's 10.1% gain. I noticed that quite a bit, actually. Because I was off last week, not streaming. I was traveling and picked up some, went to a takeout place and got lunch. And it's like, I don't eat out a ton. And I was talking to my friend about this yesterday, actually. We're talking about this, going out for pick up a burger or whatever, right? Something not necessarily fast food, but you go to, a burger restaurant, pick up something to go, and the cost is crazy. And I don't eat out a lot normally, and it always like really shocks me when I get, you get the bill, you order, I was at the beach, so got fish and chips and burger kind of thing, and it was like $50, and it's like for a couple people, and it's like, holy cow, it's crazy. And these restaurants are busy. People are going out spending like a fortune on food, and I kind of always equate it. You look at what you get in a restaurant, and I think of what you pay. It's like, how much groceries could you actually, can you buy for that same amount? I always, my mind works that way, and it's kind of like you almost kind of get a better meal at home. But I mean, sometimes you have to, if you're out traveling or doing something, you have to eat out. You don't have, you're not home or have a kitchen, but it still blows me away. The prices are just crazy for restaurants. I'm still surprised that you see them and they're packed, right? They're people still going out buying restaurant, but food is like restaurants are expensive, but food is even expensive. I went and I still do the curbside pickup on the weekend, and it's not that hard to spend, a couple $100 and you get it, and it's two bins. By the time you get home, you're like, that was $200. I mean, there's stuff that will last you, staples and stuff like that, but it's like, holy cow, that it's just like, it seems like the $200 gets you less and less. So just have to look for deals. I know a few people have mentioned where they shop at different places, they check flyers. Nothing wrong with that at all. Look at what's on. Try and find something on sale. And I'll look around, especially with talked about before with the Coffee Cruise coffee. There was coffee I ordered on Amazon, because half the time, like, it wasn't the one I normally buy. It was the same brand, Kicking Horse, but it was a different blend. First world problem, different blend. But there was one of the ones was on for $9.99 a pound. So I picked up some of those. So like, you look at these deals, you got to just find these deals, right? $9.99 a pound as opposed to $16 in the store for the same product. So you can spend some time, look around, save some money, be frugal. I think is the name of the game these days. Printers. I don't have a printer anymore, but I know what you mean. They do have the ink. They get you on the ink, right? And everything's like more expensive. The problem is with the ink, you buy the ink and then you print it's so rare that I have to print anything right now anymore. A lot of times it's just, you can do everything electronically, right? Sign electronically, fill out forms electronically, email stuff. But this is the odd time you have to print something. And if you have a printer and you don't use it very often, all of a sudden the ink's dried out. You have to go buy new ink. So it ends up, it's easy. I find it easier just to not have a printer. And if you need to get printed something, go to the office store and spend, 20 cents a page for the odd page that you have to print out instead of buying a printer and toner, printer, ink, all that kind of stuff all the time. There's a tip there for you, Vic, unless you need to print a lot at home, or work or wherever you are, right? Are restaurants trying subscription model? I haven't heard of that. That's interesting. I mean, there's obviously the food. There's the food delivery subscription model. There's, Uber Eats or Skip the Dishes I think there's a membership you can get now, so you get free delivery kind of thing, but it's like as a subscription. Everybody seems to be going that way, and subscriptions are crazy. This is the thing. Let me know if anybody has any other subscription things. Like, there's like literally a subscription for anything. It kind of gets annoying after a while. I did read that as in terms of BMW charging for like heated seats or heated steering wheel. So they're to unlock these features, you have to pay monthly or yearly, or buy it for the term of your lease or whatever. It's crazy. I think things like that will backfire, Vic. Because people would just be like, "Come on, that is crazy." I will say though, I have had a car before with a couple of cars ago. I did have a car with a heated steering wheel, and it was the best thing ever. That would be something I wouldn't say I would just subscribe for, but I think if I ever get another car, my car has heated seats. It doesn't have a heated steering wheel. But a heated steering wheel is nice, especially in the Canadian cold winters. It's nice to put that. It warms you up, right? Because half the time you get into the car and the steering wheel's ice cold, and you stay cold because your hands are so freezing until the steering wheel heats up. But I wouldn't want to pay necessarily a subscription for it. I'd pay for it in the car as a feature, but not a subscription by any means. And yeah, doctors, I know they're doing they do the online stuff, right? The tele doctors and stuff like that now. I could see a subscription for that. I mean, if that's one way to get a family doctor, I mean, that's the thing too. A lot of them are still, you can't get into a doctor, right? Unfortunately. So if that makes it easier possibly, or takes some of the pressure off, that might be something to maybe think about, or not necessarily a subscription, but a pay-per-use kind of idea, which I think is, that's a whole other debate, but I think that would be, I think if a lot of people can afford it, not necessarily, that can kind of go into these a lot of virtual doctor meetings. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, right? let's go through, make sure I haven't missed any comments. No, I haven't. Everybody chatty today. It's awesome. Thanks everybody for joining. It's always fun. It's always nerve wracking when you first tune in and you're like, I wonder if anybody's going to tune in today. But it's great. Always people showing up and more every day, which is awesome. Yeah, dental fees. Yeah, that's expensive too, Vic. Even just to get, it's not so bad when you have to just get a checkup, but inevitably they find something else, and then that's when you start to get. That's when you start to get the bills very expensive in dental fees. Yeah, I'm knock on wood. Luckily, have decent. I don't have to work. Like I don't have dental problems. Knock on wood. I've always been lucky that way. And let's go. This goes back to our inflation chat and talking about food, as we see to get on this topic. But here's how much food prices in Canada went up last night. So this kind of actually breaks it down. 10.4 food and restaurants 10.4%, up from 10.1% in December. But this one does break down in the grocery stores of what you're seeing. So let me know if you're seeing kind of this, if you're noticing it. I'm starting to kind of notice it a bit more in the grocery store. With meat up 7.3%. This is year over year. Dairy up 12.4. Cheese up 10.4. I've noticed that with cheese. There's some cheese that I normally would buy that I'm like, look at it now, because I get it for pasta and stuff like Parmesan cheese, and I look at it and I'm like, it's gone up. It's gone up probably gone up almost closer to 20% that I've noticed. So I'm like, I'll just cut that off for now. I'll do without. Bakery up 15.5. Fresh fruit 10.9%. We're obviously in the winter time, so that that's a little bit probably because of that too. Apples up 12.3%. Vegetables up 14.7%. Lettuce is up 35.3%. That's crazy. I remember there was a lot of times when lettuce was just like, it was crazy trying to buy a head of, trying to buy romaine lettuce, and it cost you a fortune. And I couldn't imagine what it would cost in a restaurant to buy, because it was just expensive in the store. And so basically everything up. Tomatoes up, potatoes, eggs, fresh milk, pasta 19.5. I haven't noticed that so much in pasta. I do eat a fair bit of pasta, but in terms of dry pasta, you can usually find a pretty good deal or something on sale, and it's that kind of works. Frozen poultry and frozen food. I don't eat a lot of prepackaged food, but I sometimes get frozen fish, which I've noticed has gone up, definitely gone up in price. And coffee, tea, there we go. We can highlight that one, 13.4%. I haven't noticed, coffee, yes, got more expensive in general, but you can still, like I said, find those deals. You have to just look for those deals is, I think, the way to look for deals is the way to go in these times. That's for sure on what we're spending money. I'm glad I don't have a bunch of, I couldn't imagine families and stuff with a lot of kids to feed would be very expensive to grocery bills, that's for sure, unfortunately. So hopefully we start to see a bit more of relief slowly but surely. I guess with this, we can kind of talk with CPI numbers coming down slowly. I think we're going to still see that pause in March, which is good. That's going to help out a little bit with, if you have any kind of loans and debt, floating loans and debt. I think it's kind of all but kind of locked in now that, they'll be able to pause a little bit. I don't think they're going to follow us. We'll see what happens in the States, but it's, I think Canada will hold its own for a little bit as long as they can to give us a bit of reprieve. I hope that would be nice. But we'll see what happens. We'll have to see definitely what happens. It's weird as we see this, like anything can kind of change, like month to month. It's just kind of, it's definitely bumpy out there. And one more article. And again, if anybody has anything they want to bring up, fire up a comment. Always good to hear what people have to say, have their opinions. But I do have one more article. Let's find this here, and share my tab, because we've talked about this a little bit before about this is a bit of a video, but it's the biggest reason why people don't switch banks. And this was done to the States, but I did find this one interesting, so I figured I would pull it up. And it's always interesting to hear what people feel like this. So it's like why people don't switch banks. And one bank CEO was is that in the States? It was a survey that was done found 11% of people felt a sense of financial belonging to a bank, but 44% of them say they won't change the bank. So they don't really feel connected. They say they won't change banks, and most people feel that that knowledge is a big inhibitor of them of feeling for belonging. They just don't know what some banks offer. They don't know what they provide them, basically. And I did find this interesting that at the end it does mention that banks have a mixture of online and in-person access, provide the best customer service, which is, I think that's quite right. So this was a survey of 3,000 people, and then so only 11% had a sense of financial belonging, but 74% said that's what they wanted. They want a sense, like 74% want a sense of belonging to their bank, and it does find that I did find that interesting, and it did mention that they found if you did feel like you had a financial belonging with your financial institution, you were 160% more likely to have a better financial health, which that little bit I found really interesting, because it's like if you feel like you belong, it looks like you seem to do better off. That is very true, Vic. That's how I started off, for sure. The number one factor. I mean, I guess in Canada, we have less banks than in the States, right? Obviously, but the number one factor in picking a bank is what parents use, and that's how I started out, for sure. My parents they're still there with Bank of Montreal, back when Bank of Montreal started, almost, they've been there for so long. And this is the thing, they don't really have, I mean, banking's really changed over the years, for sure. I mean, they used to be, I remember as a kid, my mom going into the bank to go pay bills, right? You had to go to the bank with your checkbook and pay bills and all this kind of stuff. And, she knew the teller at the desk, and it was a routine in what you did. You went to the bank, you got to know everybody. They probably knew the manager of the bank, and people were there for so long. Now you go to a bank and you're lucky if there's even tellers. A lot of times there's very few. Some of the branches have turned to kind of virtual. They have a customer service desk and then ATM machines, and that's it. You have to make an appointment to actually kind of see someone. Yeah, they're not quite that old, Vic, but pretty close. And I'm going to guarantee, I think my parents' bank to BMO. I'm not really sure on that, but I'm going to assume probably probably was the case at the time. But banking's really changed, and you don't feel like but again, I say picking a bank, like when I first started banking as a kid, you get your savings account, right? And it was at BMO. I was with them for years and years until they screwed something up, and really quite. They started to kind of give me things that I didn't want, and that's when I switched banks. But do I have and it's interesting, like, do I have a connection to my? It's weird how you just don't anymore. Like I have no connection to my bank with CIBC is my full-time banking. I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody that at the branch. I couldn't tell you any, you go in and you talk to who you need to talk to, and if there's a problem, you just ask for the manager, and it's like I couldn't tell you who they are, and that's kind of, I guess, what's happened. It's kind of unfortunate, I guess, for a lot of people, but I guess that's just how things are kind of going. In terms of, it's funny, like when they say you possibly start to have a better financial position when you feel a bit more connected. Now, do I really feel connected to Wealthsimple? No, but they've taken the time to at least reach out, and in terms of sending me, I mean, it starts off with an email or phone call and follow-ups and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, a bit of connection maybe there has helped me. But in terms of big banks, couldn't be bothered. And I've also been like a Tangerine client for, since when it was ING Direct it would have been back in the late 90s when I started. I'd have to look when I even started my ING Direct account. It was back when you used to have to send them checks to make a deposit into your account. And I don't think I've ever called them on the phone. I've never talked to anybody there. Never once talked to anybody there at all. So just goes to show what the times were like. So 1817 is when they started. Okay, yeah. So maybe wouldn't have been my grandparents either. They were born a bit later than that. Mogul Trade. A few people have mentioned that, Vic, and I've noticed a few people mention that on Blossom as well. I've been spending a bit more time over on Blossom, kind of on the weekend, and I'll have to check that out. I'm gonna put that as a bookmark, because if I don't, I will forget about it. It is an app too. Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out on an app. I would like to find actually a decent, eventually kind of, and I think National Bank might be good for this from the ones I've looked at. I'm not a huge fan of the Wealthsimple desktop. They're kind of pushing everybody to mobile anyways, but the desktop one I'm not really a huge fan on the trade side. On the invest side I like it, but I'll have to see. Just because you bought some Credit Switch today, there you go, good call. Vic is chatty today. It's good. Yeah, they used to have U.S. accounts too. I forget what I had. I mean, I had just a regular savings account. I didn't have a U.S. account there. But yeah, I think they still have a U.S. account, but again, no one pays huge interest. Even ING Direct doesn't pay. I mean, the banks just don't need the money. Basically, is why they're not. They don't need your deposits as much, so they're not paying you necessarily the big interest anymore for things. Even ING Direct used to be really known for high interest savings, right? And again, now they're just kind of, I guess, decent. Yeah, that would have been way back. Yeah, I remember that they had US. That's kind of all they started off with, right? They had ING Direct. I mean, had the savings, and then they started rolling out they did do mortgages as well. Had decent mortgage rates. I know that, and then they didn't do any credit products until. Because their whole theory was, save your money, right? And so they didn't have really credit products other than a mortgage. I think they might have done loans for RSPs and stuff, but I'm not sure about GICs. And then when they were purchased by Scotiabank, that's when they started to roll out credit cards and more lines of credit, that kind of stuff. Is Wealthsimple offering 4.4 in cash? Yeah, I don't think they're there. I don't think they're there though, Vic. Let me just take a look. Maybe for new clients. Let's go and look here. Savings. I gotta find it. Let's share this so I can find it here. %1 interest rate. There you go. So they do have. See, they do have a promo with cashback and a 5% earnings rate. So they have they always have these promos, right? They just don't. They're never good to the past clients. What do they offer? What is a promo? 20% cashback when you. This is for their. Visa debit. Okay, let's just see here. Maximum cashback. Blah blah blah. 5% interest for 5 months for a promo. So that's for new people. That's what they always do, right? They never look after their old clients, and that's why people kind of move stuff around all the time for savings and stuff like that. Yeah, and that's when it expires. So you can move it around, and that's the thing. We've talked about moving stuff around before. I prefer just to kind of put everything into I've just started putting stuff into PSA. Because it's sitting at just over 4%, 4.5, 4.59, 4.6%. It's like, for the difference in trying to chase money and remember where stuff is all the time and moving stuff around, it is kind of easier just to keep it in one place, I find. But anyways, it is they make it hard to find. They make it hard to find. They do. It's like in fine print, and then it's like 5% interest, really big, and then in the really small print, it's like for the first 5 months, and that's all. MC, good morning. Good to have you here. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. All good. We've just been talking MC about chasing money around and banks and all that kind of stuff. A market link GIC definitely is a scam. That's for sure. Just get a regular GIC. Yes, definitely. You'll get a market link GIC, and then you will basically just come back with your money, with your capital in 5 years. There's no point. Good call. Especially now when you can just get a regular GIC for 5%. That's the thing. And call it a day. This Mogo trade. Sorry, one sec. I got to turn it off the sound. Yeah, it doesn't. They don't really necessarily make sense. They don't make sense. They go, yeah. You're better off just taking a regular GIC. That's for sure. Don't try and trade. It's if you want to get something linked to the market, buy something in the S&P, buy an S&P ETF, and just call it a day, and put it somewhere and have it somewhere, and don't sell it and leave it as it is. You'll be better off for sure. I mean, well, you'll hopefully better off, but it just doesn't make sense. Just get a regular GICs. Yeah, which they're still doing well. They're paying about 5% I think now. EQ Bank is still doing decent on GICs. I don't have any GICs, but it's yeah, say the 5% annual. That's right. Better off just doing that, and then you're guaranteed, right? The market ones are just, you're not guaranteed. So you might do good the first 2 years, and then the third year it goes down in the down the dumps. So you're better off just keeping something consistent. I'll read the rest of your comment there. I'm saying I'm not sure. Market link GICs, if they've changed, but I ran into a TD client. They had a bank's GIC, and the 3-year return was quite good, and this was when GICs were yielding 0.5%. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I guess maybe at different times they probably made more sense to possibly put into it, right? Because there's the opportunity for appreciation, but there's also the safety of not losing your original investment, right? Which is what a GIC is. And when GICs were yielding nothing, there's always that. But right now, when you could make a guaranteed, 5%. Why would you not take it? That's pretty good. Again, this was a GIC. Yeah, they have to kind of look at what was happening at the time too. So it probably did maybe make more sense to that, but it's hard to know how that would perform now. I don't think it would necessarily be the thing to get into today, when you can guarantee yourself 5%. Right, or whatever the GIC rates are today. They obviously change all the time, but yeah. A family member just bought and now has to reverse before cooling off period, but can't get appointment. I'm not sure, Vic, if that means bought a GIC or something, has to wait to lock it in. I guess that's what you're talking about. Maybe elaborate on that a little bit, but it's yeah, you have to be careful with what what you're buying, because they're not always liquid. Sometimes cash is king if you need cash. Sometimes don't lock your money away even locking your money away for 1 year is sometimes not the right thing for people to do. For whatever, when everybody's different, everybody's for whatever reason, right? Because the last thing you want to do is go into an investment and all of a sudden have to claw it back, right? Yeah, I wouldn't call it it's definitely not a scam. We were talking about scams earlier, which were actual scams, but they're it's just a product that has different risks and risk reward and different, it's just a different type of product to invest in. Some people just want what everybody's, again, MC, you're perfectly 100%. I can't add anything to that. It's what people want to decide into, you know what I mean? And again, we talked about it a little bit we've talked about it over and over. It's like everybody is different with their investing, right? Everybody has different risk profiles. It's, they have different amounts that they can invest, and it's just everybody's different. So there's no real right or wrong. It's as long as trying to get the right one for you, which is the hard part. That's where the learning comes in, and learning from mistakes comes in from that. Yeah, they don't the GICs, they advertise them much like, future performance doesn't equal what's that saying? Future performance or past performance doesn't guarantee future results, kind of idea. I wouldn't call it necessarily deceptive, but they're marketed. They're marketed like to make them probably maybe better than what they possibly can give in future performance. But again, it really depends on so many factors because it's market linked, right? And it's really hard to know what the market's going to do tomorrow, let alone, if you're into a 3 or 5 year GIC that's market linked. There's a really hard way to know, and that is the right MC is. There's really the guarantee is not to lose any money. So that's one thing that people, if they're buying that type of product, if you can buy it and forget about it, and in 5 years or X amount of years when you're going to get this thing cashed in and it matures, that at least you're going to get that initial investment back, so, and it keeps, sometimes too, like if it's locked, at least, I don't know, all of them some of them might be different, but if they're locked in for the term and you can't withdraw them, without taking a hefty it might not even be able to take them out. I don't know, but if you don't take, if you're locked in, at least it's forcing you to have something saved, right? Because I know some people, if they just had that money in a savings account, they would probably dip into it. But everybody's different. Oh, Candace, good to have you here. Welcome back. Hopefully you're feeling well. I was thinking about you this morning. Nadia was the first. You keep getting beat into the live stream, but that's okay. Nadia was the first today. But good to have you back. Hopefully you're starting to feel better, and the antibiotics are kicked in and working. And you'll get back to YouTube. YouTube eventually. I don't know, Candace, if you've been watching. You probably haven't. I don't want to make you watch replays when you're not feeling well, but on YouTube. But very close to monetization of the channel, Candace. So and that some of it, obviously, thanks to everybody that's watching, and really close. I think it's going to be, we're teetering between, I think, a couple days. It just kind of depends on that average over the year. So I'm going to say by the end of February. That's my goal. TD Bank linked offered maximum. Yeah, I'd have to dig up and kind of see what they're looking at, what they're offering them. They're like teasers, right? They're like, oh, I could make. I think right now though, Vic, you just take you don't take the market link. You just, if you're going to buy a GIC, is just lock into one that's paying you 5% or whatever the rates are, right? If it works. Yeah, and good call. I'll read the rest of MC's comment so that shows up here on the stream. The difference between GIC and market linked is the spread they take between how they use the funds, essentially. One is generally fixed, so they can guarantee it. One is not fixed, so they can't. Perfect sense. They do cater to products, or the products cater to people that don't want to lose money, but they appeal because they have the opportunity to make some more. So if you're like a really risk adverse investor, it might be something to look at. You just don't expect massive gains, right? But it depends. Again, like you said, back in the time when it was a GIC is paying 0.45%. If you're going to put money in a GIC anyways, and it's only at the time making 0.5%, you might as well have put it in something else, because there's that opportunity, because 0.5% is literally nothing, right? So if you're going to put it in a GIC, you might as well look for something that can possibly give you more appreciation and still have that. There's no downside, right? 3 or 4 years ago, yeah, GIC at perhaps half percent versus the market link. I would have gone for market. I probably would have done it too. So there you go. I just kind of, yeah, if you make 0 instead of 0.5, it's really not that much of a difference. Exactly. Perfect way to say it. And again, this kind of goes to show how products and as the market changes and as interest rates change, you have to really keep on top of what you're investing in, right? And making sure it makes sense, and make sure it's still right for you as you go. Don't just keep buying the same. Don't go into the same products or investments just because it worked in the past doesn't mean it's going to be something to look for in the future, right? And there you go. Comes down to math. Don't you? Sometimes I remember going through school year thinking I would never use math, but sometimes basic math you can kind of look at, and it comes in handy down the road for sure. Banks know that the majority of time they will make money on the spread based on how the market works. But if the markets go down, they will pay you out the loss they take. So they figure that out in their big scheme of things, and there we go. Not a bad. It would be interesting. It would be interesting to see how they're performing possibly. If you're doing say it's a 3-year or 5-year market link GIC, because we're getting, let's just say 5% on a regular GIC. It would be interesting if you did a look back, or I mean, even if you invested half of it, if you're putting say you wanted to buy $1,000 in a GIC and you put 500 in a regular, and then one in a market one, just to see I'd be interested to see what happens. But not that I'm going to invest, or not that you should invest, but it would be interesting. We could look back, if we look back in 5 years at this conversation, going like, what should have we had done, right? Hindsight's always 20/20, but you just have to kind of look what's good for you at the time. And Vic is right. 100% banks always make money. That's the thing. They always make money, that's just how it works. They always win. It's like the house always wins at the casino. The house always wins. And I guess it's just making sure that you make them win as little as possible on that. But back on that note, on like the banks always winning, and like my parents being with BMO and back in the day, and they probably should have bought back then. They should have instead of buying if they bought a GIC or something, they should have probably bought Bank of Montreal stock back in the day and just held it till now. They probably would have been a lot better off as well. Oh yeah, that'd be good, MC, to hear that. Yeah, so if a friend of yours got one, so they it recently paid out. Okay, so ask him how it turned out. 3 years ago, traditional GIC would have been a GIC a few years ago would have been under, probably like 0.5% or a 3-year one probably, maybe. I don't know. They wouldn't have even been getting 1%. It would have been under like 0.75 or whatever it was. You could have to look back at what the rates were at the time. They might remember because they probably had the choice. But I mean, that's the thing. And then if you look at it, they didn't lose any money. At least they didn't lose any. I mean, other than with inflation, right? But there's no. I mean, they didn't. They come out with the money, but it's worth less. But they still have their original investment. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. That was, and they should have instead of buying GICs at the bank or Canada. What was it? Canada. I remember my parents buying Canada savings bonds at the time. I don't think they even sell those anymore, do they? I don't think they do. At the bank, they used to get those once they got released, like once a year. There was a time. I remember my mom going in and buying like we had one as a kid. And they should have just bought Bank of Montreal stock. Although there was no apps to be able to go and do it and transfer your money instantly and be able to buy a bank share within literally a minute. They didn't have that back in the day. That's for sure. It was definitely a lot different than today. I remember it was. I don't know. I can't remember what it was. I'm pretty sure I'm guaranteed we don't. There's none kicking around. They're probably not. Maybe they're still valid if you still had one. I don't think they're going to keep paying, but yeah, they used to be in the 80s, right? Everything was high interest back then. That's for sure. I forget what the bond was. I forget what it was on there. It was so young back then. I mean, in the 80s, I would have been, I would have been 6 years old, 5, 6 years old. So I don't totally remember early 80s when they bought it. It would have been good. Yeah, they should have bought. Oh well, hindsight, right? Hindsight is always 20/20. And yeah, it's true. Fixed income is not really nearly yielding as good a stuff as historically. That was the case. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but like on my invest side, that does it for me. I'm definitely not 60/40. I have a small portion, 10% is my bonds, even though, yeah, it's and the bonds are doing terrible right now, unfortunately. 15, yeah, I know, right? Back in the day, that's the thing. Why would you, right? You just put your money in a savings account or a government bond, and you'd be you're laughing. And houses cost. I mean, granted, they were paying high interest, but houses weren't very expensive. I used to work with, when I worked in the hotel, I worked with one of the guys there, and he had worked at the hotel he came to Canada. He had come to Canada from Greece, worked like crazy. He was in his 50s when I was there, and he bought his first house, worked like crazy, and he bought his first house on the west side of Vancouver for, I think it was $15,000, something like that, 15 or 30. It could have been 15 or 30, even though still, he still worked. He could have sold. He's probably, I mean, he's obviously, I think, retired. He'd be retired now because it's been 10 years since I left there. He would have been retired, and he would be sitting on a pretty penny from a house that he bought back in the early 60s. Pretty crazy. Yeah. And to double, 15, it'd be nice to double your money every 4.5 years. We don't see that much anymore unless you're incredibly lucky or maybe incredibly skilled, depending on what you're doing. And market link, Sir Gil, back to Vic. Market link GICs must pay out on fixed date, so return fluctuation differs massively from month of explanation. Okay, good to know. I'll have to do some research in that. I haven't really looked into them. I know they exist. I see them for some of the banks, and they don't. Yeah, well, they don't post returns because they can't, right? They don't really know what's going to happen. And we talked a little bit yesterday about RSPs. I'll have to look and see what's on financial post. Vic, thanks for seeing that. I'll check that out after the stream. I'll check the news. I did my RSP deposit, so that's good. I'll check for that too. Make sure it's gone through. I've been waiting for that. We still have some few days before the end of the month. February is a short month though, so reminder, if you have RSPs or wanting to do deposits into RSPs, get it done, so it's not in limbo waiting to get deposited. Yeah, that's the thing. Real estate, everything seems to inflate up, right? That's just how it works. It's holding them for the long term, and that's the hard part. Patience, right? I think we've talked about patience a lot. Is having it. You always see the next shiny object, and you think, oh, if I sell this and I put it in this, will it appreciate faster? And sometimes you have to literally slap your own hand or force yourself to put the phone down and the trade app down to not do those things. Obviously, unless you've researched and you think there's something that is really worthwhile, but sometimes you just want stuff to. Sometimes you just want to it to go faster than it does, but patience is key. Oh yeah, I did read a bit about that actually, MC. I'm not sure if it covered Tesla. They're looking to possibly acquire SGML, a lithium mine out of Brazil. My YOLO play is LTH.V. has a minor near SGML, so they're getting a nice bump today. Oh, good for you. There you go. And did it work? We could always pull that up and just let's see. LTH.V. Lithium Ionic Corp. Oh, I've heard of this one. I think this is on our. Is this one not on our watch list? I think this is the one you mentioned before, wasn't it, MC? There you go. Lithium Ionic Corp. Pretty good today. Whoops. Year to date, 86%. There you go. Good call. You have to let me know the next one. The next one you before you YOLO in. We'll have to let us know. Good for you. I think you've mentioned that one. I think you mentioned Lithium Ionic Corp before, MC, if I'm not mistaken. That would be true. Some of the best portfolio returns for people if you forget your password. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Something to be said about like the old, a lot of places like the old, when you used to you would only get your quarterly statements, right? And a lot of times when you got those quarterly statements, everything had already happened, so it was too late to kind of do anything. So you just kind of like ride it out, and that's probably a benefit of that, of not checking every day of your portfolio. Something to be said about maybe a bit of old school, taking that old school mentality of not checking your investments every day and just look quarterly. I know Wealthsimple gives statements, and maybe just look at your statements just to see, as long as you have everything on autopilot, right? And you did mention that. I know we mentioned. Yeah, there you go. Congratulations. There you go. Awesome. That's good to hear. It's nice to hear when people are doing well on something they had picked up. That's cool. Don't obviously, disclaimer, right? Don't, if you're watching, don't do research on your own. Make sure it's right for you. Just because someone else bought something, don't buy it. That's for sure. Mention a book, Psychology of Money. One of the lessons is never tamper, disrupt with compounding and let it do its work. But it's hard not to tamper. It is very hard not to tamper. You just want things to move faster, right? I'm guilty for that, but I'm trying to get better to hold myself back from, not just. And that's part of the goal with, as I'm doing my weekly deposit now, is just stick to that for the most part, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And yeah, behavior finance is key. There we go. And that's coming. LAC looks quite good. Also recently got a contract with GM for their EVs. LAC, I'll put that one on the watch list, MC. Lithium Americas Corp. Or is it LAC? Is it the TS? Is it? Oh, there's one in the. Oh, there it is. Found it. There's two. Trades on both. Let's put it on the coffee crew. Lithium Americas Corp. Okay. Let me pull that up. And there. Year to date. Contract for GM. Okay, interesting. So I added that one to the list, MC. Maybe you'll be right for two. Maybe you'll be right. I was reading. What was I reading today? I was reading. I think I was on. Might have been on Twitter. I should have saved it. I'll have to track it. We'll have to track it down again. But there was talk of, and I know the railways are popular in Canada. The railway, like Canadian National Railway and CP Rail. But there was an article I read where the Ukraine has asked. It was the Canadian. There's the Canadian Rail Alliance or something like that. But they basically they're asking the Canadian railways to help with rebuilding in the Ukraine, which might be some, obviously, you don't want to, it's horrible to kind of say benefit from what's happening over there, but that may be some opportunity for people that own some of the railways. Might be some good, because obviously they'll be getting some contracts and stuff to rebuild over there. I'll have to dig that article up maybe for tomorrow as we see it. LAC is out of Nevada, dual list on TSX, and yeah, okay. So I added the one for on the TSX. Interesting. we'll have to see how that one pans out. Something to watch as we go. There we go. Well, coming up at 9 o'clock, and I have to get to work today. I actually have some work today. It's not a holiday anymore, unfortunately, so we can't go overtime. So I just wanted to again say, awesome conversation today. Thanks for all these comments and comments, suggestions, all that kind of stuff. Really appreciate it. Helps the stream, makes the stream go super fast, which is awesome. I appreciate everybody that joins us live. Appreciate everybody that watches on the replays, and watches the portfolio update videos. I will get one done again. Portfolio update. If you haven't caught it, I did one over the weekend. It's obviously a bit down today. We'll have to see. I will do another update this week before the end of the week, because I did do my regular deposit in there. So that's always good to have it out, kind of see how it's doing. And the live stream will be back tomorrow, Wednesday. Already almost be halfway through the week tomorrow, which is going to be nice. And so I will get that posted on the channel. And also too, I mentioned is I have been spending a bit more time kind of on Blossom. So if you're on Blossom and haven't followed me over there, you can find me. Just search my name. It's Scott. So I ended up getting my username as my name. So you can find me there. If you haven't connect over there. It'd be great to kind of go on there. I do update my portfolio manually as I do purchases. So it's up to date over there if you prefer that. And just been out there kind of seeing who is investing as well. So that's all, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. On your way out, if you haven't hit like button, hit that like button. Always appreciated. All that good YouTube stuff helps the YouTube algorithm. That's all. I'm going to go fill up my coffee and get to work. Thanks, everybody.